Welcome to ClickerBait, the Last of Us TV show, where tonight 3 gamers come together for one last time. Just kidding. We'll be back. We're unpacking the HBO show. In this specific episode, we're recapping, not like we normally do, but we are going to basically overall impressions of season 2 as a whole, which is exciting because we get to be a little bit more like reflective on our time. It's sat with us a little bit, which is good. I needed that. I needed it to sit with me for a minute. So I'm excited to get into ranking those episodes with y'all here later. Before we do that, though, I am Jerica. What are your hosts? And I'm so glad that you've been here maybe the whole season. Thank you so much. We love it. This was always been like a little brain child of me and Kayla's, and then we grew a third arm, and that's Patrick.
Our child, Patrick.
He's like an extra baby arm attached to this body of a podcast. So it's just like Rat King. Spoilers for probably what we'll see in another season.
The Pat King.
It's back. It's here already. But just so you know, we will be discussing spoilers that go beyond the TV show because we've played the games. So you've been warned. We're about to spoil the heck of it and talk about what could be coming next. So what makes our shows different is just what I said. We play games. And specifically, we played The Last of Us. So we know this story. We are committed to giving you the best opinions ever on, was the show great or was it not great? Did the game do it better? Probably so. But let's dive into it. So we're going to be breaking that down. And then something that's new to what we're doing next week, because guess what? JK Games is coming back. We'll be back. Woo!
Yes.
Here on twitch.tv/JK Games podcast. But next week is going to be sort of like a soft launch into something new. We're going to give y'all a peek behind the curtain a little bit, but we are just reacting next week to the Wholesome Direct, which I think is technically live on Saturday during Summer Game Fest. So, but me, Kayla, and maybe a couple other people are going to hold off watching it, and we're going to react to it here on JK Games podcast.
So could maybe be fun if the audience also practices patience to come live react with you, potentially.
Listen,
it could be.
It's not, Kojima unveiling his next video game on stage. So I think we can all sort of relax. It's not the Xbox showcase. You don't have to wait to watch that. It's a Wholesome Direct. It's going to be wholesome.
Yeah. Sure. If you've never heard of the Wholesome Direct, which you probably have if you're here, and we've typically talk about it every year. I love the Wholesome Direct because you always see such cool, unique style of games. The way they do the whole direct is very funny, and I enjoy it a lot. So totally fine if you don't wait to watch with us, but if you do watch, you can see our live reaction. So
yeah. What else? Tonight is going to be a little bit different. Like I said, we're recapping and talking about the whole season. I don't know about y'all, but I am wondering still, can I survive without Abby's biceps? We're going to probably talk about that. I don't know how I feel about Ellie being unsure of herself. And, I don't know if like I said, I've been sitting with it. And I think I've come to a conclusion of how I feel about the writing for Ellie's character in the show. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, I don't know about y'all if y'all have a conclusive thought with that. It's taken me a little bit to get here, but I'm there. We've also talked about this numerous times, but Shimmer, what the fuck? The horse is still alive. And I'm going to keep talking about it because they literally let Joel die in the show, which they obviously had the opportunity to keep some characters around. They had the opportunity and they made changes. They made changes to the story that we're used to, the story that we know from the game. They made changes. So they could have made that change to keep Joel alive, but instead they keep Shimmer alive.
I'm just glad we survived with no animal death this whole season.
Sure, yeah.
We love to see it.
They had a chance. And I already did this joke last week, but they wasted it. Okay, I'm done now.
Sure.
Oh, one thing really quick that I might add. Yes. You have a limited amount of time, everyone, to buy our ClickerBait merch. It is on our website, jkgamespodcast.com. We don't have an exact date on when it will go away, but it is going to be going away. We'll bring it back whenever ClickerBait comes back, but you only have a little bit of time to go and grab something. So you should go grab something if you haven't already. And there's other stuff on there. Obviously, you'll be able to still get JK Games merch, but as far as ClickerBait merch, you have limited.
Yeah.
I just remembered that I was gonna make some kind of contest for this evening, and I just remembered it. But guess what?
Oh no!
I'm just gonna pick a random person in chat that just says something that makes me chuckle. Someone that really butters my roll tonight is gonna get the limited edition I Ain't Dead Yet shirt, that shimmer that I've showed off on the last podcast. It's basically me as the Grim Reaper riding on top of Shimmer saying, no, you might not be dead yet, but I am coming for your ass in season 3. So just in case you want to participate, I don't know, if there's a comment in there that I see that I like, I'll reach out to you.
Yeah, so everyone better be fucking funny in chat.
It better be funny. Yeah. I want to laugh. I want to
better be engaged.
I want to laugh so much I just maybe toot over here, you know? Good old fashioned toot.
Make me piss my pants, chat.
Yes. Oh my god, High Score Weekly said, quick, say something gay.
Oh, that's a cheat. That's a cheat. High Score Weekly is eliminated off the grid. Doesn't get the shirt. Eliminated. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Maybe it's Poogle's Game's first time chatter. Maybe it's them.
Could be.
I do like a first time chatter once in a while. That really gets me going. Anywho, before I go any further without introducing the other two that are here, Kayla, hello. How are you? Are you ready to talk about season 2 of The Last of Us tonight?
I sure am. And you have also, if you're listening, you have a limited amount of time to go in our Discord, which you can find via our website as well. And you can vote in our poll that we posted in the Discord. I would post it in Twitch, but you can only have so many options in Twitch for your favorite episode. Or you can just drop it in the chat. That's fine too. We'll be talking about it later. But we also have a poll up. We also do threads based on our episodes in Discord. So you should join that if you haven't already. But I'm very excited to talk about this with you guys.
Patrick.
Hi, Jerica.
Like you're on a retreat, like one of those retreats where you go to meditate and chill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is there a reason for that?
So I did a podcast from this very seat last weekend on Drop In, Drop Out. We did a Clear Obscure spoiler cast. But,
don't believe you.
But I felt like I looked like I was in like a hostage bunker with just a plain white background.
Wow.
So yeah, so I found some light that I have, and it wasn't as conducive as I hoped it would be, but there's at least like some texture happening. But I do fear that it is giving a just a weirder vibe than Hostage Crisis. I'm not really sure what this vibe is.
Rabbit mentioned isolation chamber. That's what I was thinking. You know, in those big things, and it's like in water, and you just sort of float, and then like, you know, that's how people astral project themselves, I think.
Yeah. I'm in
so I hear on the streets.
Yeah. Bacta? What do they call it in Star Wars? A Bacta tank? I think it's a Bacta tank.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know Star Wars.
So funny.
Anyway, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey!
Well, it's amazing what a simple light can do, because it looks very good.
Wow.
Hey, thanks.
It's amazing what a little light can do that you let shine and thrive.
Let the light in.
God, straight from your mouth to my heart. Goodness gracious.
There's a Last of Us saying, you know, for the light. You gotta look for it.
When you're lost in the darkness, look for the light.
Thank you, Kayla. That was it.
Recurrent.
That is so true, besties.
Woo.
It really is. Speaking of light and darkness, this season.
So yeah, I have a plan how we're gonna tackle this, so we're not here for like 5 hours. So obviously we're gonna go through like top level thoughts, final thoughts. I just said final, not your final thoughts. We'll have more, but like just top level overall thoughts about the season. Then we are going through. Patrick and Kayla went through and like individually ranked the episodes, and I have combined them to give us an average of like what is the ClickerBait ranking for season 2. So we're gonna unveil that and go through the list and also compare to ourselves, like why did we put this episode so low, and then, you know, Kayla loved it or whatever. We're gonna do that. I haven't really compared yet, so I have no idea. You're gonna find out with us. And then we're going to dive into predictions for season 3. And then throughout the whole episode, I don't know, there is a frog, I think, in my throat right now.
Patrick
And then-
manifested that.
Oh,
Would it? I know
yeah,
I did.
you did. You really did.
I'm such a fucking
Wow. God,
piece of
asshole.
shit.
Yeah, get
I
out of
know.
here. But not
Alright.
really. 'Cause
Sorry,
I
y'all.
need
Bye.
I need you for the show. I need your opinions. Throughout the show, though, we might have some like random little questions, fun questions that we'll ask ourselves and maybe the chat. And of course, you know the segment was that who was the hottest character of the season?
Oh,
yeah.
stick
Just throw that
around.
in there.
There's only one right answer.
You know. So if y'all are cool with that, I don't know. I think it's time for us to dive in.
Ooh, and we also haven't discussed our own rankings with each other yet, so I'm very curious to see where all we land.
Before we get into rankings, overall thoughts talking about the season now that we sat with it, without getting too deep, are there any differences that y'all feel like from the game and the show that we've had so far? One that just completely missed, and then one that landed okay with you, one that you would be fine keeping off the top of your head. I know for me, I think the whole museum segment in the show is probably one of my favorite moments in the game or in the show, because I just said the game, because they really took inspiration from that segment in the video game and they just nailed those emotions. So I don't know about y'all. Do y'all have another favorite one or one that completely missed?
I agree with the museum like that. I just like really quickly scrubbed through the whole season today, just to remind myself like of certain timings of things and like if there were any scenes that I had forgotten. And even though I had an issue with a lot of episode 6 for like the placement of things, I mean the museum scene, come on, like stem to stern, just fucking nailed it. Another one that jumps out to me though is in episode 4, day 1, when they go into the sewers. That whole interaction with the WLF and the infected and the train, I thought was so well done.
I agree.
Yeah, that was really, really good. Those two jump to mind for positive for me.
For me, first I want to say welcome in the chat, Marl's Bad. Seeing you definitely in the Discord. Glad you're able to join live. She said she had a hard time with this season, which is totally valid and fair.
Yeah.
I think like I'll definitely get into my specific what I thought was done really well that I liked. But I did want to say it was interesting going back and like looking through the episodes that my details and notes and trying to rank them was harder than I expected it to be.
It was
But
so hard.
Not for the reasons that you may think, not because like, oh, everything's so good. I was like trying to think like distinctly what landed where and like get acclimated. And it was tough for me to like remember big pieces aside from like looking at my notes. I did rewatch the first and second episode on like 2 times speed. But shout out to Rabbit for the sub. Thanks, Rabbit.
Hell yeah.
You're a new favorite child. Jerica, consider that in your
I might have saw it. I was looking at it.
We can be bought. Let's be clear.
Yes.
We can absolutely be bought.
For sure. For sure.
But for me, I really enjoyed the museum scene. But one thing that it sounds weird to say that I enjoyed it, but one of the changes that I did appreciate was the scene with Mel and Owen. As brutal as it was, I think it was I liked the overall change. Like I feel like it did benefit the show and this version of Ellie that we see. Now, was it like a favorite like moment for me? Obviously not. Like it's horrible, very brutal. But as far as like favorite moments, I actually really liked the porch scene. I know it's weird in the timing and the way it places, but I really loved seeing the like raw emotion that I feel like this was an opportunity for Pedro and Bella to really shine in their ability, and they did that for me. So I really liked it.
In my notes, I did write, even though I'm pissed it happened, the porch scene was one of my favorite scenes of the show.
It was done so well.
Sure.
It was done so well.
It was great.
Yeah, they did it right. It just might not have been where we wanted it.
Do you want to know what I did?
They did it
too?
wrong, right? They just did it wrong too.
I rewatched the first episode, and they play the part where like Ellie just walks past. I paused it and played the scene like there, and
Fun.
I let it like inform my thoughts on the rest of the episode. And so like it's very interesting to think of it that way, because you remember the conversation with Ellie and Jesse that they have where she gets mad at Jesse and she's like, you don't know us, like we've got this, like it's, and so that makes a lot more sense now,
Okay.
knowing that
Yeah.
happened right after. Anyways, not trying to dig into the episode, but
No.
Sure.
I think it added to my experience, like when we're talking about reflecting on the season as a whole, like that was interesting for me.
I remember, not to go on too much of a tangent, but I remember playing it for the first time and finishing it and doing a new game plus like a day or two later. And that beginning scene when you go out on patrol with Dina, and the version of that in the game of Ellie being like, oh yeah, me and Joel, we're going to watch a movie tonight for the first time in like 3 months or whatever. And getting that context now, knowing that Joel dies, I remember just like, I had to like stop for a minute and be like, "Oh my god!" We didn't realize the first time we heard that what was about to happen, and just like, "Oh yeah, great, they're gonna watch a movie tonight." But knowing that they never get to, Kayla.
Anyway. That's truly like one of my favorite things about this story, and then it being a video game, which they can do this with television too, but it's just like always the smallest little details, and just like the thought of going just to watch a movie with Joel, just you would want that so bad after finishing the game, and just like how it was just a simple matter of fact thing in the moment, but knowing that if players revisit this and remember this or just remember that conversation, it's just like, to your point, it just hit harder.
It's such good. Yeah, it's such a good narrative design.
Yeah.
Too bad the show didn't have much of that, huh?
You know, it needed a little more. It truly did.
Yeah.
But just pulled up, lost my notes, so I know where I'm going next. I like that you've talked about going like revisiting the game after beating it. I need y'all's help with this one, because do y'all feel like there was a huge tone shift comparing season 2 to season 1? Or is it pretty level with that? Or did you feel, is there a distinct difference of tone between season 1 and season 2?
I feel like there's not as distinct of a tone as there should be.
Okay.
I feel like when you compare, yeah, sorry. Yeah. So yes, thank you.
Like a tone shift.
I feel like when you compare game 1 to game 2, it's such a clear tonal shift. And I feel like in reflecting on this season, I just don't know that the tonal shift is as clear to me in the season. And I think a lot of that, like what we've been talking about throughout, especially, I know this is something that Kayla felt strongly about, was that lack of like hatred from Ellie and the lack of like wanting to dig into the violence, and making her just like a lot more jovial and like, just, I don't know, the stakes just weren't as high for Ellie this season. And I feel like that it negatively impacted there being like less of a tonal shift for season 2 for me.
I agree. And what's interesting, even if you just take like, because we've discussed here, like it is different than the game. There is directionally things that they changed. The fact that, do we agree with that as a whole? I don't. I think that some of that should have been like kept, but it also like it's clear that they were trying to do something different, which is totally fine. But we can also say if we didn't appreciate that or not. But it is weird, even if you just take like the show. I love that you asked this question, Jerica, because I do feel like Ellie in season 1, I could see that in, as far as like her like interest in violence, her like hyper focusing on like death and decay and like brokenness. I do feel like that it almost totally shifted the reverse way that the game does.
It didn't just take it didn't take that part seriously. And for me, like, Last of Us Part 2 is Ellie's game. And it's, I know part halfway through you get to Abby's game, Abby's version, but the full, and my anticipation going into this game, once I understood like, okay, we're playing as Ellie. Okay, I see where this is going. It was like Ellie's story to me, y'all. It feels like most of the time it's Ellie's story. We get Abby's stuff, but it's always Ellie's, to me, main character, right? And it's just, I just don't know. I'm trying to, saying like this, they're trying to do something different. They're just going to, tell Ellie's story in a different way. They're, write for her a little bit differently. But man, Ellie's the main character. So why would you not stay true to that character?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
to that they strayed so far away from who I know as Ellie, because I've played as Ellie for so many hours, and it bummed me out because I'm gonna
Yeah.
have people watch the show, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, yeah, you're talking about The Last of Us. That's that game you like." And funny enough, a lot of my friends that, never played the game, they love the show, but I'm like,
Yeah.
good for y'all, because y'all don't know the better version of Ellie, which is also the shittier one, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm just way more grounded and connected to that side
Yeah.
because
Me too.
I don't know. I miss the Ellie that was struggling a lot and couldn't see. She had tunnel vision, and I just wanted this Ellie to have that kind of hardcore obsession. Not hard, and it's not even a hardcore obsession. Like drive and motivation to get revenge for Joel just
Yeah.
didn't seem
I
like a
agree.
priority.
I sent y'all a TikTok today that Rose, my beautiful, lovely wife, sent me. That it was just like a really long kind of like rant and criticism about the writing of the women in this season specifically, and how it seems to have really taken a step back compared to season one. And I think like falling into a lot of tropes, and that we see a lot with women in media, that is just like, it's just so shocking to me when it's 2/3 of the same writing team with Neil
Yeah.
and Hallie Gross. And so it's, Craig is now the new writer on board, but it's like, I don't know. I hadn't thought of it from that perspective, Kayla. Of season one, I feel like they set up the Ellie we're supposed to get in season two, and they
Yes.
didn't give her to us.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
it's like this weird. Yeah, they just made her character so much softer, and like, oh, I'm gonna be a dad. It's just so, I don't know. It's so weird to me. Like the more I've sat on this season, I still think it's a good season of television.
I
But
do
the
too,
more I
yeah.
sit on this season, I'm like, man, I really do think this season is not a great adaptation, where I thought the first season was a great
I did too.
adaptation.
Good setup,
this
yeah.
is like this is a fine to good adaptation with some really big flaws. And it's unfortunate that for me, two of those biggest flaws are, one of them is centered around the women in the show, who are the biggest force of this show. And the second being like the timing and the framing device of like, man, it was right there. How did we fuck that up?
It just doesn't make
And-
sense that. Oh, go ahead, Kayla. Then I'll chime in.
Oh, all I was gonna say was that related to like time with Ellie, Marl's Bad in the chat did say we did spend a lot more hours with game Ellie than show Ellie. And that is true. And then I also feel like in the way game one, like part one, felt like Joel's game. Like even though Ellie was there, it felt like Joel's game. Whereas like season one of the show didn't feel like Joel's show. Does that make sense? Like I feel like in the
yeah,
the show, yeah.
I totally agree. And I would think that this season, based on what they're saying about season 3, this was supposed to be Ellie's season, right? Or at least her first 3 days. And and to Patrick's point, yeah, it seems like they just pulled back the reins on the women being rough around the edges and like going hard on the vengeance piece. Like they just dialed it down. And it's just weird that, I don't know, not saying like Neil was okay with it, but like, man,
I was so a lot of justifications in the podcast.
Yeah, I was so excited.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to it yet. So me and my girlfriend were talking about
literally don't.
We were talking about like, maybe we get there and get some answers. We listen to it. But I don't know, Patrick, you brought up from like season 1 the setup they had. I just remember when they left the Fedra base or whatever for the first time, like getting Ellie out of there, and Joel kills that officer or one of the guards, and Ellie's just like staring at him like with not obsession, but like just intrigue and like, okay, wow, that he's killing him for me, or at least just like, wow, I can see someone that's knows how to fight. This guy's a badass. And like, I was like, oh, they're setting Ellie up to be intense. We're about to get it might even be more vicious than the game, which
and I remember
I would also have a problem with that if it was a little too in that direction. But we were at like I'd been fine at 100 being super revengey, okay, right? I'd have been fine at like a 50, 50% revengey, 60%, but I think we were just like at a 10 this season the whole time.
We were very low. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
I
Go
do
ahead.
think
Go, Kayla.
I do fear we were scraping at like a 10. No, basically I was just going to say the same thing is like I remember Jerica and I actually talking about that piece with like Ellie and that specific scene, and I was kind of thrown off by it a little bit. I was like, that seems kind of weird, but Jerica was like super into it. I remember. And it's so interesting thinking like now of like how it didn't pay off.
Yeah.
I guess.
And like I even think of from this season the line from Gale in episode 3 or 4 where I think it's 3 when Tommy's talking to her at the baseball game, which is weird, and is like it doesn't seem like Ellie's making this or following in Joel's footsteps. It seems like Ellie was always that way. And it's like the Ellie we saw this season was nothing like Joel. There was
she definitely
like 10 seconds of her acting like Joel when she just fucking murdered the fuck out of Nora, and that was like literally the only moment in the season. And
it happened off camera.
It's like it happened off camera, and then I think about how I'm getting a little off topic, but I think about how next season we will get most likely very little Ellie, and I'm like I'm starting to have concerns about the show version with how much space is in between each season. But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself.
We'll talk about predictions. I'm curious to see what y'all think for sure.
Oh, well, okay. So we're in agreement here. Probably one of the weakest, or one of the biggest opportunities this season had, was just, making the two main women in this part of the story really shine in their brutality, which sounds like a weird thing to want, but like that. And it's not even like them being brutal. It's just like being more committed to their cause and like what the character's motivations are just didn't seem believable, like compared to the game. So
there were just no stakes in the show, it seemed.
Yeah. Not enough stakes. Need more stakes.
Game Over Trollo said Game Ellie is even more brutal than Joel, and I couldn't agree more. I think that's a really good point.
I think I'm gonna stop. I was like, I had one other thing to think that made me think of something else, but all right. So yes, we talked about that, and then overall, just like some of the pacing and what moments from the game they decided to put in the show, and not only that, like they sort of like there's like this season's been a puzzle, and we're just trying to put all the pieces together, and just some of them just didn't fit, and or some just didn't even belong to this puzzle, like the Seraphites and the island and them stringing Ellie up, and then Shimmer surviving. Yes, that was the other one. You got that one. Okay. Now this might help us like break it down even further and like get a little bit more nitpicky with it. I think we've aired most of our trauma now, and I want to just go through each and every episode and see how we decided to vote. So I'm about to pull up our episode rankings, and we'll start the one that we ranked, I guess the one that's at the bottom of our list, so number 7. Okay. So what our number 7 would be. So let me get pulled over to here. I don't want to
I'll be shocked if it's not unanimous.
That's a picture of Abby, my bad.
Patrick and I will be a little delayed.
All right. But I'm obviously going to call out like what they are too. So, and I even added some pictures to help us remember and a synopsis from the episode in case anyone following along wants to remember. So the one at the bottom of our list. So what we've ranked last, our least favorite episode is episode 7, The Path. After Dina shares crucial intel, Ellie prepares to petition the town council. Parks and Rec Ellie here. And near Seattle, we see the Seraphites for the first time. So did we all align here? I forgot to pull up like our actual data, but I think
this was my last ranked. Yeah.
Me too.
So
me too.
So clearly, like this, I feel like this is. I said it back in the day, but I think to date, I think this is the only bad episode of The Last of Us, in my opinion. Like, I thought this was just a bad episode of television, and I think at the very least, any other episode is like fine for me at worst. But I thought this was bad.
Yeah, not great. And it's not because I just hate the Seraphites and the fact that Shimmer's, alive. I just didn't like how they introduced us to the Seraphites, and they just seemed a little corny at first. It just
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how they could have done that better. I just didn't like the introduction to them in this episode.
My
So.
biggest complaint
Think-
was not that, it was the council meeting. I think you should have
council
taken that
meeting was-
completely out.
I mean, yeah, that too.
It didn't make any sense to me. I was irritated the whole time and I wished it didn't exist. But I will say my one positive to this episode, I do like the scene where she's at Joel's house and like is reflecting on like her memories with him where she smells his jacket and like that part. I did really like that.
True. I forgot.
but
That was a winner. That was a winner in
That's
this
like it
episode.
though. That's
Dang.
the only scene.
I have 2 scenes from the episode. That's one of them that I liked.
Mhm.
And the other one that I really like, it's one of my favorite scenes of the whole season, is toward the end of the episode when she stops at his grave with the coffee beans. I thought that was really
Oh, yeah.
that was
That's
really good.
true.
And that's a change from the game. In in ways. And I thought that was really good, but the rest.
Yeah.
I caramba. Let me imagine this, if you will.
Okay.
The Last of Us is your favorite franchise. This is easy for you guys to imagine. You've been so excited for The Last of Us ever since you first found out it was going to be a show. Season 1 comes out. It's incredible. One of your favorite things ever. A couple years go by, season 2 comes out, and it starts really strong, and you're like, ugh, I don't know how I feel about episode 2. And then episode 3 happens, and you think it's the worst episode of The Last of Us you've ever had. And then the next Saturday, a tree falls on your house.
Oh.
Think about it from that perspective. The path can get fucked.
Yeah. Yeah.
It definitely wasn't the path forward,
No.
you know? Rabbit's like, just to say, oh yeah, with the council, just to say Jesse voted against him to find that out later.
He could have just said, "Oh, I didn't agree with that decision."
I know, right? Really had to put the salt in the wound there, Jesse.
But yeah, like him going to get them is saying that, "Hey, I'm bringing you home." That's him telling you what he thinks about the situation.
I still don't believe that he voted no. I think he was just being mean. I think he was acting ugly.
Not that I did ugly.
And y'all help me. I also feel like I didn't like this episode because like, they haven't left. No, they did leave. This was Seth helped
leave
them
at the
get
end
out
of
of
this
town,
episode.
right?
Yeah.
And then there's that bullshit tent scene where they make it about fucking Jesse.
I
Oh, I hate that so
Okay, yeah, that's
much.
definitely why that's at the bottom of all of our lists.
Yeah.
This episode just can get
Get lost.
lost,
And
get
Dina
out of
has
here.
this, like, some of the worst dialogue in the show.
Yeah.
Like, well, you're gay. I'm not. It's
I
like,
know.
fuck
Yeah,
off.
that was strange. That was a little forceful with
Horrible.
there's a lot of ways you can bring a bisexuality, and I just
Yeah.
didn't like that way. They sort of
Yeah.
grounded a few episodes later. It sort of wins me back a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll get to some of Dina's shining moments because I do want to touch on like definitely a highlight of the show. Definitely a nice change of pace. I just needed Ellie to stay the same though. I liked having more Dina being or sharing more of Dina, but the Ellie not matching just really messed me up. Okay, the next episode, which was interesting to me, our average second to last is the finale episode.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Which was strange, but that's what the average did. That's what my sort of math worked out. So hope this is right.
Interesting.
But
Where was this on your list, Jerica?
it definitely wasn't near the top. Sorry, I don't remember, which I should. It was number 5 for me.
Interesting. Patrick?
It was number 5 for me as well.
And Kayla, it was number
3.
I
I
got-
liked this episode.
Kayla. I got 2 years backwards because I have 7 for. I was like, wait, it had the path as number 3, so I think those just got swapped. So Convergence is your least favorite.
No.
Third, and then I have
Yeah.
Convergence as your 7th here for some reason.
Oh, that's probably why it's so low then, though.
Oh,
My
no,
bad.
The math is all fucked.
I suck.
okay.
I'm sorry.
No.
No. We can fix this. Fuck it. We do it live. So I
Okay.
believe number 6 is a tie with Through the Valley and Feel Her Love.
Oh, okay.
So, but then I guess technically Feel Her Love would be lower because Through the Valley got more higher votes. It just their average equaled each other.
Okay. So we'll just say Feel Her Love was
So we'll
technically
say
next.
Feel Her Love is number 6.
Okay.
And then Through the Valley, and then Convergence.
Okay. So we'll. All right.
Yeah.
Right now we're on Feel Her Love. That was the next one. Not number 5, number 6. So
I had Feel Her Love as my number 3 for the season. I was the highest on this with y'all, or compared to y'all.
Yeah.
And so this, for me, this is when I wrote a little note. I was like, anecdotally, I'm like, I feel like I'm having a really hard time actually ranking them, where I feel like with season 1, it was a lot easier for me. And I think it's because a lot of the episodes I'm a little more just like, I like them, but I don't love them. And I think I love my numbers 1 and 2. And then my numbers 3, 4, 5, I like fine. And then 6 and 7, I'm a lot less hot on. And so this one, I like fine. I think it has some really good moments. Like I really love like we were saying, the Nora bits, the hospital stuff at the end. There's some good Ellie Dina stuff toward the beginning of this episode. This is also, we get some more WLF Seraphite stuff. So it's like, it was the kind of thing where it's like, I feel like for what the show is trying to do, this episode mostly checks the boxes for me. Which, is pretty disappointing if that's my number 3 on the season, but
Yikes.
That's how it landed for me.
I think for me, I placed this at number 5. And I think for me, like part of the reason why was because there was some things that I liked and there's some things that I didn't. I think like around the middle point, like I would say like I overall, for the most part, thought it was good. But I think like what I didn't like is when Jesse finds them, the way that Jesse and Ellie interact, I don't like. And then the woods where they're hiding again, like, and then the Feel Her Love and Feel This Bitch. I was like,
I forgot about that. That's really bad, actually.
But what I did like was exactly like some of the Ellie and Dina stuff I liked here, especially learning a little bit about Dina's new backstory that we didn't have before. I liked that. I liked some of those things. I felt like the opening scene with the 2 WLF like discussing the spores and confirming that, like while that was cool to get the confirmation, like it felt a little weird like there for me. But I also did like though the scene with Nora at the end. I thought that was really well done. I thought you finally get to see like here and then not the next episode, but the next one, you get to see like some of that true like rage come out a little bit. So I did like that aspect. So I would say this one is not like, I don't feel super strongly bad, but like there was other things that I liked more than this one.
That's fair.
Yeah. And I think I'm in the same boat. Like, I was excited that spores showed up, and it was only because I just predicted they would. Not that it was necessary in the show at all. I just wanted it to happen because I said it would. I don't know if it's
to be right.
I don't know if it's going to be used in the future or not, or it's going to be one of those things they just keep underground. But I enjoyed the spores being a part of this episode and us being able to get what was next. I guess the sequence of what happens after this with Nora was the highlight of the episode. The rest of it though was probably sort of weak for me. So I think that's why I put it so low on my list. But the spores were cool.
The spores were cool.
All right, what's our
also,
next
like
one?
We said
my
earlier
bad.
in the season, we said no, you're good. Just last comment. The opening scene, just 2 women smoking cigarettes. Like there's nothing better than that.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty good. Yeah,
I'm probably
just like chilling.
Now the PETA's coming for me. I keep talking about cigarettes every episode too, so I don't know. Smokey the Bear will come after me or whoever. Dare.
You're gonna
That's for drugs.
You're gonna get Big Tobacco's lawyers to defend.
There we go.
PETA. It'll be fine. So the next is number 5 would be Through the Valley.
Okay.
With this, so
see if I
had
find
this
it.
at number 6 for me.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing. So, Rabbit in the chat saying, "Was I weird for thinking Through the Valley was the best?" I don't think so. I think prediction for my own taste. I think in 2 years I will think a lot more highly of this episode. But I think for now I just really struggle with how much they took the spotlight off of Joel's death and had it just be so much more focused on the siege of Jackson. And it's the kind of thing where it's like, if I look at it as just like an episode of television, it's obviously so well done. Like this, the spectacle is amazing. The set pieces are breathtaking, but I just feel like what it doesn't do for me is land with just like a total fucking gut punch that Joel is dead. And I think it's because of Caitlin Deaver's performance mixed with
The
how
attack on
much is
Jackson to
focused on
me.
Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I agree. Like I thought the attack on Jackson was really cool. I like how I said that, like Attack on Titan, Kayla. That was made me think of
Yeah.
that. But I just don't know if it was worth all the technical work that went into making that whole scenario happen because
Where was it for you?
huh?
Where was it? Where was it in your ranking, Jerica?
It was number 4.
Okay.
So I
Me
didn't
too.
like it. It was in the pretty much in the middle for me. And you know, you would think the episode where Joel dies might be one of my favorites. I know doesn't make sense sometimes, but you hope that would be the favorite because it's like the most monumental point in the game. It's like the big shift in the video game. The moment everyone either started crying or started hating The Last of Us. And I don't know, like go all in on it. You know, and some
Yeah.
people will say the scene itself was very brutal. It was not. Not that I needed that to be, but I don't know, like the game was way more brutal. Not that it has to be, but maybe the point that Patrick's making, they just didn't put as much focus on that build up to that moment. And
Yeah.
I don't know, there's something too about like Ellie walking down those stairs in the game that I really wish would have been in the show, believe it or not. Like the hearing something happening and just walking down
Yeah.
the stairs and then immediately getting whiplash like of walking through, like they just nailed that in the game.
Going off of your point that you wish that we could have had that like going down the steps right before
Yes.
Joel's death.
Yes.
I would have also liked to have the rest of Abby's crew because I think having a smaller crew, having half the size of the crew, I think just takes away from the impact of his death.
Yeah.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
I think that I actually ranked this episode number 4 as same as Jerica. And I think like key things for me, like we've talked about most of it, my biggest issue with the entire season and with this episode is knowing who Abby is when this happens. And I think for me, like I really wish we didn't have that information at this time.
Correct.
And so
100%.
that bothered me. It like distracted me from everything else that it just didn't evoke the same feelings that I had or like that I wish other people had getting this. And I do think like I love the bit that they added at the end, him reaching for her. And to me, that made it feel so much more brutal. But again, I really liked the Jackson stuff too a lot. And I like the idea of fleshing Jackson out more and just not in the way that they did it, unfortunately. And in that meaning, like taking away from other things that are more important in my opinion. But yeah, that's why it ranked kind of high.
Hold on to that. Hold on to that thought later because that might come into play. Don't forget
Amazing.
it. All right. What's the next one? What's the next one,
next
Patrick?
up is Convergence, the finale, just above Through the Valley with the points.
Whoa.
I had this at number 5, so pretty low on my list.
I was also at number 5.
Yeah, and then Kayla, you were at number 3. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's why it's swayed because I was surprised that with my higher ranking that originally we had it placed so lower.
Yeah.
Inciting incident for this, but
so
yeah,
talk to us about why it was so high for you, Kayla.
I've lost all my thoughts, but I think in general, I think that I like that we finally got to see, in my opinion, like who Ellie is more, like her relentlessly, like just I feel like we got to experience like that internal like rage that Ellie actually felt. And I actually really enjoyed the last scene in the theater. I think is done super well. So those are like the kind of standout moments for me. I'm curious when we hear like the downsides for you guys, how that, like, I'm wondering if I see those as positive or agree with you. And I just think that the good moments outweigh like the weight for me of the bad. That makes
Sure.
sense.
I think
Yeah,
just
I think from you know, you go ahead, Jerker. Sorry.
yeah, I think I just from I think a lot of these episodes too. I don't know if y'all feel the same way, and I'm trying to be nitpicky with certain ones, but I just a lot of them just fell very middle of the road anyways, and I had to put them somewhere. So I just tried to like think with my gut really quickly, like what did I like? Did this one episode have something that I really truly loved? And like how many of those moments did they have? And just not a lot of them did.
Mm-hmm.
But with this one specifically, like I loved pretty much everything except the I guess just the it was just a lot of extra fluff, and I think this could be said for most of the episodes. Just like cut out just some of the unnecessary things and put more focus on the moments. Like I
Yeah.
think we could have had, I don't know, more. I don't know, a moment that could have been interjected with Ellie playing the guitar more in like the theater, or her reflecting on what has happened to Joel, or um, even I just the moment that Tommy and her had was great content.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, like and then the conversation with Dina just didn't make too much
It was
sense
so
for
bad
me.
for me
And like
in my
the
opinion.
moment like
Yeah.
when Ellie comes back, if I'm still on the right episode, I think this is one at the beginning, just when they have their moment, Ellie's taking off her shirt and it's just like, yeah, it just seemed forced and didn't seem
Yeah.
to make sense for the scene. So I love that they made time for this scene, but they also made time for other scenes and didn't make enough time for like the things that could have filled in the blanks on maybe another episode. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole getting on the boat in a complete, I feel like in a different direction to Seraphied Island.
Oh God.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that
Hands
just,
down horrible.
Yeah.
I don't know, it just took away from the moment. But Kayla, I also just love the moment of them meeting and being in the situation.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was great. Like that part was great. Just everything else seemed sort of sidelined.
I
Yeah,
see.
there for
Yeah.
me this episode it was a lot of it was like highs and lows of like I liked a lot of the Jesse stuff and like the added conversations with Jesse and Ellie, but and like there were like little bits that I liked throughout the episode, but then I thought the pacing was like the worst of the season. I thought there's just so much happens in the back half of the episode, especially and yeah, Ellie showing up on Scar Island for like 17 seconds is like maybe my least favorite moment of the entire season, other than the second scene of the entire season when they tell us that Abby's father was who Joel killed. But it and I think this episode also what I was referencing earlier with the writing for the women, this is like a big one where that's really prevalent, especially with the scene you were just talking about, Jericho, with Ellie and Dina. But yeah, it's like for me, that's why I ended up landing at my number 5 spot
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it just like yeah the some of the highs were high, but then some of the lows were fucking low,
Yeah.
and it's just yeah it's hard for me. I'm shocked that I am not like itching for season 3 of this show, and I think that I thought about that a lot when trying to rank them, that a finale's purpose is to get me excited to want to come back, and right now I am not excited to come back to my favorite franchise on television, and that's a bummer to me.
I mean, was the cliffhanger really truly just like, oh my, for people that haven't played the game? Because like, how do you make a cliffhanger for a story you've already witnessed? And
Sure.
I'm like, are other people just like, oh my god, I cannot wait to find out what happened to Ellie? Did she get shot too? Or and then also, did people really understand like they're about to get Abby's side of things
No.
next?
I don't
So
know.
I mean, for me, even knowing what happens next, I'm in the same boat. Like I am not itching for the next season. I'm not like, oh my god, I can't. I hate that I have to wait a year or 2 years for this. Definitely, I don't feel that way either.
Yeah, I didn't talk to anyone really that doesn't know the story, so I'm not sure how people feel. But Game Over Cholo in the chat says his girlfriend was confused by the
Yeah.
cliffhanger,
Yeah.
so
I
that
think, like,
tracks to me.
a couple things I'll add now that I reviewed my notes a little bit more and, like, hearing you guys chat through it. I think, like, I'm very much I was looking through the lens of, like, the feelings that were evoked in me, and while I was frustrated at some of the scenes in this episode, a lot of them were, like, gut punches for me, and I think, like, anything that makes me feel that intensely is something that I regard highly, I guess. So I liked the scene, though I hated the Seraphite Island scene. I thought it was horrible and unnecessary and a waste of our time. I did like a lot of the scenes between Jesse and Ellie in this episode, and I did like her getting to the aquarium and how that whole scene unveiled, and then also like the ending theater scene like made me feel a lot of things. So, yeah, I don't think there's any episode besides maybe my number one that I don't have any nitpicks for. So.
Oh no, I can't hear Patrick.
Patrick,
My bad. I didn't realize
that really scared me. I was about to just throw my hat and I'm like, all right, we're doing.
That's me. That's me. My wife in the chat says if Craig Mazin has no haters, I'm dead.
That's so funny. That's hilarious.
All right, what's the next one?
Number 3 is Day 1, episode 4. I had this at my number 2 on the season.
Interesting. Okay.
Day 1, you said?
Day 1, yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's my number 6.
I know. And Jerica, this is your number 2 as well, right? I believe.
Was it my number 2? Yes, because even though Shimmer lived here, I remember this one being like, oh, why am I ranking it so high? You're gonna know why. I put everything here that you need to know. So even though Shimmer lived, I loved this part with Ellie and Dina, and see the whole sequence of being able to see an Ellie sing was the highlight and the joy that I got from this episode, and I'm glad this part and then Shimmer living with the little guardian. That's a guardian angel horse. If y'all are looking at the visual here on the slide, she's got someone looking out for her. I'm coming for you, Shimmer, me. But overall, like I liked the extra time that we got with Ellie and Dina here, and yeah, that is the reason why it's number 2. I know one shining moment from the game they had in the show that they did right, and that's why it's so ranked so high for me, because you don't get a lot of those moments in this season.
Right. Well, it has a couple of them. It has even though I would have changed some bits in the music shop scene, but
I loved it.
I know, but it's a balance for me where it's like, even though I would have changed some of the context, Dina's performance in that scene is so good. Her just like sobbing, watching Ellie play the guitar, I think is so good. And then, like I was saying earlier, the sewer scene is so good. And afterward, basically everything, once they get to the theater, up until they wake up and Ellie says she's going to be a dad, I love.
I know.
Then the writing starts getting really bad. But her being like the stuff that Tess and Joel did last time of like, you get on the other side of the room, you watch me, like going into that like fight or flight mode of like, okay, what do I have at my disposal to convince Dina that I am immune? And just all of that stuff I think is, like Jerica said, it's like they did a couple things just so right that was good. That's enough for it to be my second favorite episode of the season. But I don't know that I would put this episode above many episodes from season 1 in like an overall ranking of both seasons.
Yeah.
For me. But Kayla, number 6 for you.
No, this was my No. Wait,
Don't
Day
do
1.
This.
Wait.
It has to be your number 6, Kayla. Don't do
this.
Oh
yeah. Yeah, I just cringed so hard at the I cringed really hard at the like whole stuff with like her finding out that Dina's pregnant. I really didn't like Ellie's reaction to that being so different than what it was in the game. Like I don't think it had to be quite as extreme of like telling her that she was a burden, but to me it just didn't seem realistic that there was no apprehension, and I couldn't really get away from that. And then I also, while I liked some of the Isaac stuff. I didn't like all of it. Like I felt like, is this the episode where the back of the truck scene is where they are yakking
That's
it
the
up?
beginning of this episode, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like that. It, to me, it again felt like a little bit unnecessary. I know you have to get Isaac there and like explain like who he is, but I didn't like that part of the scene. I did like the scene where he is like interrogating the Seraphite. I did like that scene. But the setup I didn't love. Like I feel like for this one, to me, there was more of negative that outweighed the bad. Or yeah, the more negative that outweighed the positive. And I did really like the subway scene though. Like I liked that whole like running sequence. I really liked the escape, but I didn't. Yeah, there was just more to me that I disliked than I liked with this one.
Sure.
Yeah. One thing that you said, I can't remember now what you said, something that made me think like, I wonder like, can you have too many not even main characters, but just a lot of supporting main characters? What's the term I'm looking for, Patrick? Just extra. They're trying to introduce us to too many characters, I think, this season. Maybe that was a problem. Do you think maybe that was an issue? Like we got a whole, I mean, not that we didn't get value from having the WF and Seraphite conflict in there, but maybe just too many main characters in that fight. Like I don't know. I don't know if that maybe was an issue too. Not that we couldn't have those. I don't know. It just seemed like as a viewer, am I getting connected to this character now for what reason? And there was definitely no payoff for Isaac. Like,
yeah,
for real, this probably next season.
Yeah.
So like, I wonder if they just could have held back from us even knowing specifics about these two factions, like specific characters to get introduced to.
Yeah.
So maybe that was
I
something.
think it's the kind of that's a good point because I think it's the kind of thing where I have this similar criticism for episode 2 where it's like I understand why they made the choice. I take a step back, I look at it from like a bird's eye view, and I understand this is HBO, this is television, this is like prestige, this is big budget fucking blockbuster television. So you're going to want to bring in Jeffrey Wright because you can. You're going to want to have a huge fight in episode 2 with a bunch of fucking zombies. Like I understand why they're making these decisions. I understand why they want to introduce Abby as early as they do. I just think all of those decisions were bad.
Just bad.
Yeah.
Making bad decisions.
Yeah.
Well,
sounds like you guys should have placed this lower. It sounds like you agree with me. That's all I'm saying.
I know, you know.
I'm just joking.
Well, sure, except most of the examples I just gave weren't about this episode.
That's true.
Just in
Good
general.
Point. You're right.
But
I did love the record store scene.
But yeah, yeah, I guess not. I don't mean to just repeat myself, but I think it's that this episode being my number 2 is disappointing for me.
I see. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. All right. What's next? Are we at the
Next
last one?
No, we have 2 left. So
2 left.
number
Okay.
2 is The Price, episode 6. I've gotten hotter on this episode the further I've gotten away from it, and I think part of it. So I had this at number 4 out of 7.
There was a lot of feedback on this one.
Yeah, there was a version of my rankings where this was number like 6, but then I was like, no, that's silly. I can't do that. This can't be below Joel dying episode.
Sorry, y'all. If I'm flipping through, sorry, it keeps playing the slideshow, and I just want it to stay on the slide. So I apologize for the flashing slides.
And then remember, this is our number 3 pick, right?
Yeah, it's not number 4.
This is number 3. Or no, this is number 2. This is number 2.
Oh,
no,
okay.
It might be better at this point to not even have a visual.
Yeah, the visual might be confusing.
It's just broken now.
But I think for me, the more I've thought about it, even though I really don't like the way that they handled the Eugene stuff, I think when I look at like the individual scenes, most of them are bangers. Even though I don't like that they have the porch scene, and I think it really takes a lot away from the impact of the story later, or at least I expect it to. They did it so well. So like there's things like that where it's like my opinion is like clashing with itself, where I really don't like a lot of the choices they made, but I think they executed them well in this episode. So that's why I ended up landing at number 3 for me. Or no, 4.
Got it. Yeah. I ranked this number 2, so this aligns with my pick, which tells me that the next one does too. And I loved a lot, like pretty much all of this episode. I loved the museum scene. I actually loved the way they laid it out and like traveling through her birthdays. I thought that was really clever of a way to handle it and like show their relationship. Now, as far as like placement, I do think like it could have been better placed maybe somewhere else, but I think it made sense for the way that they were trying to go with the show. I really liked the porch scene. Again, I have complaints like here and there too about like why it's here per se, but I thought it was done so incredibly well. And I also liked getting the Joel and Tommy backstory too. I actually really liked that little snippet that we don't have before and like we don't see. So I thought that was cool. Again, like same complaints overall, where it's like I think that they are leading the witness sometimes a little too much and they do a lot of telling instead of showing here and like making connections. But overall, I really liked this episode. I thought it was shot really well. Really enjoyed it.
I think I was the highest one here on this one. Not high, but you know what I mean. I think it was my number 3. And yeah, to those points, like once again, I'm just gonna be that sucker. I guess for season 2, where if it's in the game, I really love that it's they matched it with the show. I thought I would be, you know, we talk about if we go back and look at our listen to our previous episodes. I'm like, I was so gung ho on like, I can't wait to see what changes they make. Give me more.
Yeah,
I want them to go.
Yeah.
I want them to go wild.
I know, yeah.
And like in those changes, I just wanted them to build on the characters we know. Like I don't want them to get changed completely. And I didn't really get hung up on this episode because of like where they're putting stuff. I don't really matter. That doesn't actually bother me too bad. I think it's just I like this episode because I got those moments from the game and they still hit. And I
Sure.
guess I'm just trying to salvage what could be salvaged from this season. I'm like, okay, at least they nailed the scene in the museum, and at least they nailed the scene with her learning to play the guitar and just those moments between Joel and Ellie. I wish we would have got more of. And even the stuff that we didn't get in the game, like Ellie and Kat, like doing the tattoos and stuff like that. That's the added bonus changes I love.
Yeah.
I don't think the Eugene thing really added to it. I did like Ellie getting really pissed off and then like throwing Joel under the bus. I did like that change.
Sure. Question for y'all. This is dipping our toes in the next season conversation, but I think it makes sense for the question I'm asking. Do you think we see Joel again with like new shit?
No.
I do.
I think he's done.
I think the reason I added with new shit, I think we might see like bits of the porch scene again or like flashes of things again. But yeah, I don't know that we're going to get new Joel scenes.
Maybe the season next, if they do a season 4, if they get to that point, we might see a little bit of that because I think that would be sort of cool to get some more. I don't know. Yeah, maybe instead of reusing the same flashbacks, maybe adding more to the conversation.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I hope happens is when at the very end of part 2, the game, she gets the flashback in the barn when she's like having a panic attack. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah,
Ellie?
Yeah.
And do you see him in that like flashback that she has, or does she just have a panic?
So.
I forget.
Well,
I can't remember.
It's the flash that you see throughout the game of his battered face.
Okay. Got it. So it's not new stuff.
No,
right.
No, yeah.
Got it. Because I really hope that they replicate that moment. But I don't know. I think we will. I think that he's too popular and like a face of the show for them to not have him at least like sprinkled in a little bit more.
I hope you're right. Because the show is the best when Joel's in it. So far, it seems.
Well, they should have let him live. You know, that's all I'm saying.
No, they
change it. This go all in with the changes.
Yeah.
All right. I do love the fact that no matter how messed up I got our rankings, our number 1's aligned, which I thought was pretty cool.
That's true.
And I would have not predicted that the very first episode was all of our favorites this season.
Same. Number one for all of us. Yeah, it's very
Neither would I.
interesting that we all have the same favorite and the same least favorite of this season.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Huh.
We believe on the core things, you know?
That's
We really
that's
do.
So true. Yeah, I think this might be like top 3 Last of Us episodes for me.
Yeah.
This one's one of the best we've ever had, I think. And I think a lot of it is the extra Joel stuff. I think the scenes with, if you can hear crunching, that's my cat next to me scratching. He'll be done any second now. I think the Joel Maria stuff that they added was really nice. I think getting a change that I do think works was getting the dance this soon.
Yes.
I think that was a fun change that at first I was concerned about, and it ended up manifesting in other ways of my concern, but I think it worked for the first episode. And yeah, it was just, the excitement of getting The Last of Us back, and there was a lot of really good shit in episode 1. And yeah, it sounds like we're all aligned.
Except,
Oh,
sorry.
Kayla, no, come in. I'm ready. I want to hear what you said, what you're about to say.
this is where we cold open with Abby and get her dad reveal immediately.
Oh
And-
yeah, yeah, oh
It is
yeah.
true.
We were sour on that. I forgot.
I just forget
it
about
was so
that scene.
minimal.
Yeah,
that I forgot.
I agree. And like, I didn't like that at all. And I thought I
me
was very
neither.
much like, oh.
They did.
At first I was like, oh, that's Abby. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, on a rewatch, I will fast forward through that scene.
Yeah. It just didn't. The dialogue was weird. I didn't need them talking about. They didn't need to give it to us that easy, right? I wanted that group to be more mysterious and like, why the hell are they here? They didn't have to put that in our face. And
Jerica, not to put you on the spot, but can you give us the line reading?
I don't remember what she says, but I can do it. Oh, can you be? What did he say? What or how? How?
I don't remember what he says. She said, well, yeah, how?
I know. Slowly. Yeah. It was just menacing.
nailed
It was unnecessarily menacing,
Yeah.
And it wasn't even scary. It was just like, girl, stop. Why
Yeah.
try to be that way? Don't be that
Yeah.
serious. So I don't know. Yeah, whatever.
But if you cut that out,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
an episode.
And
it's
it was
so good.
And the reason I liked it so much because it was such a promise to what or at least an idea like, oh my God, they're gonna deliver on this at another level. They're gonna give me what I really want, like just some downtime in Jackson, like slice of life. They don't have to ever. And that was stupid for me to think the season only had
Sure.
7 episodes. I wasn't gonna get that, but God, I think like another episode, and it doesn't have to be all the council bullshit. Like just seeing Ellie and Joel navigate their lives and the whole. I love the ad of having Dina being really close with Joel.
Yeah,
and
love
I
that.
and I
Yeah,
thought
that was
truly
really
that was
cute.
the build up for that was going to be, or the reason for that was going to be, okay, Dina's really going to be on board with Ellie's revenge quest now.
Yeah.
Like she's going to
Meanwhile,
have
she was leading it.
She was going to have stakes in it too that are just not be so, at least getting scared away from. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this when we do find out she's pregnant, and maybe she takes another path, like and starts forcing him to go home, which she ends up doing anyways. And I'm like, Dina, weren't you just like gung ho about doing this with me? And then all of a sudden she sees Ellie beat up and stuff, and now she's second guessing, and it was weird. Anyways, the promise. I thought that episode was promising us a lot of good shit, and
Yeah.
I think that's why I liked it so much because it was good shit until it wasn't.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to know what our Discord voted on their favorite episode?
I sure
So we did a poll. I'm actually shocked by this. This is my first time looking at it. But the number 1 episode for our Discord listeners is The Price, episode 6. Which was our overall number 2. And then their second, tie for second place, it's a tie for second, is episode 1 and episode 2 is the tie for second.
How about that?
Very interesting. That's all.
The 3 episodes with Joel in it.
Slay. I fear it's a slay.
It's a slay, I have to say.
Yes. Well, that's our official ClickerBait ranking.
So to go through them real fast. Number 1, Future Days. Number 2, The Price. Number 3, Day One. Number 4, Convergence. Number 5, Through the Valley. Number 6, Feel Her Love. And number 7, with it being the bottom of all of our lists, episode 3, The Path.
Yeah, get that shit out of
Correct.
here. Ooh.
I feel good about it. I feel good about it.
And
feel good
then
about our official ranking.
also when I was like putting this together, I wanted to hear like some Rabbit about if you're still here, I'm about to read your comments because I enjoyed them. Just some like extra shares from our community about this season, and I asked like, what was the most unhinged moment? Rabbit says the writing. Best new character, or I guess I should have like best evolved character in Dina. Rabbit said Dina. Most wasted potential. The writing, says Rabbit as well. All of these are Rabbit. I'll quit saying by Rabbit. The writing. Okay. And then best line delivery. I'm going to be a dad. Probably a joke there. Probably not the best line delivery. And then the scene that broke you, good or bad. The scene with writing in it. Okay, Rabbit.
I fucking hate this guy.
And then I think we had another one, Kayla.
Yeah, we do. We have High School Weekly also still present in the chat, who also voted on Rabbit getting the shirt.
Okay. And they're helping each other out. Okay, I love it.
I cancel it out and say we shouldn't give it to Rabbit. So now we need a third. Aaron Eats Food canceled me out with another.
Oh, that's so nice. All right. So from High School Weekly, most unhinged moment, having Jackson be attacked World War Z style while the Joel stuff's going on. Correct. Best new character, new Jesse. I like him a lot better than Game Jesse. Most wasted potential, not utilizing the excellent actors to their fullest performance capabilities. W in chat for that. Best line delivery, don't know if it's the best, but Abby during the "you wasted it" part was very good. She made up for her
slowly.
And then scene that broke you, good or bad. Mel's scene was so good in the show for show Ellie. And that is all.
Okay.
Good shares.
My most unhinged moment is Ellie being on Scar Island for 28 seconds. I wrote my best new character was Gale. And then I almost also said most wasted potential was Gale.
Yeah.
But then I decided that was actually Eugene. And that I totally agree with High School Weekly saying most wasted potential was not using their fucking actors. Joey Pants, fucking such a good actor, and they used him for about 7.5 seconds.
Yeah.
I said my best line delivery was in episode 6 in the spaceship when Joel asks Ellie how'd he do. I thought it was so good. A lot of the there were a few lines from that scene in general, like that whole museum sequence that I was thinking about as best lines. And then scene that broke you, I said the porch scene because it was happening.
Yeah.
And
you had to rewatch it to feel anything.
Yeah. But the museum is probably my answer for the actual choice.
Cool. For me, my most unhinged moment, it's tough. Honestly, I'm gonna take it as like a unhinged, like shocked, just in general, and that would be when Mel was trying to instruct Ellie on taking the baby out of her stomach. That was crazy. My jaw was on the floor the whole time. Best new character.
I guess I could change that one to be like, evolved.
Best character direction.
Yeah, I would say someone that, any character that shined in your eyes, Kayla.
While I think Jesse was whiny at times and emo for no reason, I do like most of the changes that they made with him being like closer to Ellie and having that like more rapport. And I did like Gale in the first episode, but I do feel like they kind of like tried to force her into different situations that she wasn't necessarily best fit for. And then my best line delivery was fuck the community from Ellie when they were talking in that. Sure. I liked it because I was like, yes, here we go. And then also I do think that the because I love you or because I loved you, like from Joel on the porch scene.
That was mine
was really good. Yeah. And he had the tears in his eyes. Like that one, like
That was my
definitely the
favorite
best.
line or added to delivery because that was a little different from the game.
Yeah.
But that was mine.
I skipped most wasted potential. And honestly, I think Tommy had some wasted potential this season.
Oh, for sure.
I do
Yeah, I
think that
agree.
like in the game he has a lot more emotional investment into Joel's death because I guess because he was there. And like I think that they did a lot of Tommy wasted potential. I think he plays a much bigger role in the game than he does in the show. So,
You know, my most unhinged moment, Shimmer's alive. Hate that
Of
horse.
course.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Be like the
God,
game.
I've
Kill.
never met somebody hate an animal so much.
Well, it died in my game, so I'm mad that it didn't die in the show. Best new character, or you know, I think I'm gonna also say Dina. I really liked getting more of her backstory, more development. I love that Dina was really close with Joel. They're best buds. That was cool. I just hate that we didn't get much from that, which you would think my most wasted potential would be maybe Dina because I just said that, but it's actually Ellie. Like Ellie was the most wasted potential in my book. Like a lot of things they could have done with Ellie that really sell me on this being Ellie's season. But maybe that wasn't the point. Maybe we're gonna get that later, but I don't know how. I guess in the form of depression and lack of revenge, or we're still in revenge mode and we don't know what to do. I don't know. We'll see. Best line delivery, every part in the spaceship, and then yeah, the porch with Joel. So did I get them all? I think I did.
Yeah.
Oh, the scene that broke me. The Shimmer's still alive. That broke me. Okay, cool. All right. Cool. I really hope the reason for not killing Shimmer has some kind of benefit in season 3. Do y'all think we see Shimmer back in season 3?
Yes.
3, I guess it depends. I think to answer your question, I have to also ask a question. Do we think we get a season 4, or do we think we end it next season?
Me and Craig's, I think, did an interview and said, you know, it's impossible to tell the rest of the story in just one more season.
Okay, well then in that case, I don't think we see Shimmer next season, and I do think we see Shimmer in season 4.
Okay, so the horse will return.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we start going too far into the future, I'm sorry, I also forgot one last bit, you know. Sorry, we got sort of behind with all the technical difficulties, but I did want to ask, like, in terms of sexy characters this season.
Ooh. Sure.
Who was the hottest while trying to
Ooh.
survive the apocalypse and infected?
Sure.
Well, Dina did have that Dyson Airwrap every day.
I know, right? Every day.
I mean, come on,
Maybe it's still
folks.
to like the very end there, but like, God,
Yeah.
hair was gorgeous.
Yeah, Isabella Merced, definitely for me.
Yeah.
I would say. Which is, I mean, if you, of course, Puquito, Pedro, Pascal, absolutely.
God,
but I don't feel like he has enough like screen time for me to say him, and like Dina is worth mentioning because she's new.
Just so that it's at least represented, young Mazzino's biceps.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Episode 3, especially when he's with that sledgehammer. But yeah, I mean, come on, Dina and Jesse's kid.
Yeah, they're beautiful. Yeah, I can't wait to see this child.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. Do we see this child?
But yeah. Hashtag do we see this child? Yeah, that's my official position.
Those are all great picks. I'm gonna come out of the woodwork here and just say, you know, I wanted to see Tommy on screen more this season. I know we weren't gonna get much because we're supposed to know that he's behind the scenes working. But same, like every time I see him, I'm like, that's a good looking guy. You know, once in a while I can say that. It's a good looking dude. I like his attitude. I like his accent. I think he's actually from Austin in real life. He's just
I think.
Yeah. He's a good Tommy. I really hope he survives next season. Didn't they kill him? We'll find out.
I guess we will.
I guess we'll find out.
Jericho, did you eat a gummy when we were off camera?
No, I am exhausted though. I'm so tired. Not because of this, just the lack of sleep because we played Halo all night.
We did. You should go watch that on Drop and Drop Out.
That's unhinged.
If you haven't. It is unhinged. True.
let's get to the nitty gritty. Season 3. What is this just going to be an Abby season? Do we just get Abby this season? Do we get any Ellie, Dina? What are they doing? Do we get any like scenes from what happens right after the moment in the theater? What do y'all think?
Oof.
Oof.
I know.
I don't know.
You-
I think that we open with a flashback for sure. I think that we get more familiar with Abby and her relationship to her dad in parallel to what is, have been destroyed from the Ellie and her dad. So I think we get some of that. I just don't know, like y'all, do we think that this is gonna take up a whole another season? Do we feel like the just Abby's side and like is it just Abby's side? I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think so. I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
And then
I feel like if this season was what, like 95-5 Ellie to Abby in terms of percentage, I feel like next season will be like 85-15 Abby to Ellie. I feel like we get we might get a little bit of Ellie, most likely toward the end. But yeah, I think this will be very Abby heavy. I mean, it has to be, right? Like,
Yeah.
I just don't know, like with all the changes they made to format to say that they're changing it to better fit television. I just feel like walking us through everything, but from Abby's perspective, and that being it is like,
You're right.
I don't know. I feel like that
yeah.
might be tough for television unless they add some things.
Well-
And I do hope that they really lean on Yara and Lev, even though I don't like what they've done with the Seraphites so far. But I do think that like their character story is very important, and you can do a lot with that. It does seem like they're setting that up to be like important,
I feel
As it is
like
in the game.
the best case scenario in my mind, I don't think they'll do this, but I think the best case scenario is there is only a season 3 left, and season 3 is like 15 episodes. And they just do all the rest of it in a long season. And then what, half of it, maybe 8 episodes or 9 episodes is getting back to the theater. And then, well, no, that doesn't quite add up. 10 episodes is getting back to the theater, and then the rest is like the timelines converging and all that stuff, and Santa Barbara and whatnot, and adding in some extra shit in there too, because I just thinking of it through the television lens again. It's like, what, in 2 years we just get back to the same point
Yeah.
we just got to 2 years ago. So what, we have to wait 4
Same
years
cliffhanger.
for any progression of story?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't buy it. So either they change it somehow,
Yeah.
or it's a huge season and they end it in season 3.
My
Or
official
what
prediction.
most likely happens is they ended in season 3, but it's only like 10 episodes, and that's it.
My official prediction is that we only get like half the season of Abby's side, and then the other half of the season is like what happens after, I think. And I think we get, instead of 7 episodes, we'll probably realistically get 10. And I think that 5 episodes, maybe like 4 episodes, is Abby's like journey. And that seems crazy because that's not enough time to tell that story. But as we've seen, they take the leap, don't they? Yeah, that's what I think.
But then
This is
if I
tough
may
because
ask
well,
you a follow-up question. If it's only half Abby and then half, I mean, but when we get back to Abby and Ellie converging, there's really not a ton left.
That's true.
that's what I was about to say. Like, I wonder where. So we obviously have a point where they did what we expected. They ended on Ellie's start, and they're starting Abby's story. What's the natural end after Abby's part now? Like, what could that be? I wonder. Is it Ellie getting to the farm? Like, is that the next part of the season? Like, they're like still dealing with what happens after they get back? Like, is that
because don't they get to the farm and then Ellie leaves and goes and finds Abby, right?
yeah? But like, does
From
that?
there.
What's a good cliffhanger for the next season? Like,
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't think
that's true.
there's not another hook other than
I mean, I guess
getting to
Ellie
leaving.
deciding to leave.
Leaving. Yeah. And then, but can you make a whole other season after that?
you
unless they add
could,
new
because
content?
we never saw her getting there, and that's a
Yeah.
long way.
No, but I'm talking about like, am I wrong in thinking that they show the farm and then Ellie actually leaves, like, and then you see her meet up with Abby. And then there's again at the very end where she like we see her leave and not where she goes, right?
Right. That's the
Yeah.
very like the
There's
last
two
scene
very
of the
leaves.
game.
There's two leaving the
There
farms,
is.
right?
And
Okay.
there's also
the leaving
and
Dina
there's-
part could be an ending or a beginning, I guess. Like
Yeah.
I would see that as like an end. Like what the hell was Ellie doing now? But like at that point, I don't know.
Well, I would think too. So I think that's a great call to end season 3 on is her Dina saying like, if you leave, I leave, and then she leaves, and then it's like, okay, well, we know that next season Ellie's going to be going after Abby, and then I think they expand because you remember we leave as Ellie, and then we cut back to Abby and Lev in Santa Barbara for like 40 minutes, maybe even less than that, of her and Lev finding the bunker or the basement. To then go to
Santa Barbara. Or there. My bad.
And getting caught by the Rattlers and stuff. So I bet it would make sense to have that be like a whole episode as opposed to a short scene. And we see more from the Rattlers' perspective and all that kind of thing. So there's stuff that they can expand it out. But I think High School Weekly might be onto something of it just being 2 short seasons. So like
less time in between.
Like a 7
I have something to position.
Yeah.
What if, and this might be my tired brain, no gummy brain, but it's very similar right now. What if maybe the point of the next final season, you get to the Abby's, getting captured by the Rattlers, but what if Ellie shows up at that same moment? But I guess she doesn't have a reason. No one knows that she's there because someone has heard they saw Abby. So that doesn't make sense. But I would like for them to be there at the same time. May get forced to be in that situation together. But it's such a big deal when Ellie naturally finds Abby in that moment. But I don't know. They might get creative with how they handle that. Did they put more focus on the friendship? Not the friendship, but them semi-working together and then fighting each other? I wonder if they... I don't know.
I just got pissed again, y'all, because I'm thinking about so like in the game when Ellie finally gets to Santa Barbara and Abby has been a fucking prisoner slave for like months and is on the verge of starvation, has lost so much weight, but because of how fucking jacked she was, she still
you don't recognize
kills
her.
Ellie. Yeah, you don't recognize her, but she's still bigger than Ellie. And it's like, you think about Caitlin Deaver being in that prison for that amount of time, and it's just dead. Like it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Yeah, she's fucking dead. She is dust at that point.
No shade.
Yeah,
we've talked about that.
Of course, no shade.
We're not.
But
we don't. It's not the muscles per se. It's just the overall. Which maybe that changes. Who knows?
Yeah. And I think Patrick, you mentioned hey, they don't spend a lot of time with Abby this season, and then maybe not that she can get super built, but what if that does change a little bit for the role? I don't know, but it doesn't seem like it's a priority after this season and after hearing like some of the interviews.
She does get a jacket on in that last scene, so you never know what's underneath there.
You know what? The guns are hiding. Well, she showed one gun, real gun, but you don't know the other gun she's hiding. Could be. They could be there.
And to be clear, we're not commenting on women's bodies just to comment. I think there are some very very petty complaints in regards to this. I think for us, it's overall
sort of
asking
wild.
for demeanor.
Yeah, it's sort of wild that people get bitched about how bulky Abby was in the game. And now I feel sort of an asshole because I'm bitching about the lack of it because I really liked it. I wanted it to be there. I missed having that in my show because that was a big part of her character. So, definitely not commenting on that, so to speak. But
and
it was just part of the character.
It is. And I think something that I don't know that we have said, because we've talked about it and like we've talked about how like you shouldn't necessarily like only talk about a woman's body. But I think a perspective, that TikTok I mentioned earlier that Rose sent me, a perspective that I hadn't quite considered is that I think it's also very important that Abby is what is considered unconventionally attractive in a woman.
Yeah.
The male gaze, not the gaze.
And I think that
gaze.
the more I sit with it, the more I get pissed about the change is of like now, yeah, Abby is just like what TV always portrays as like a pretty woman, small, thin, and it's like it's unfortunate that we don't get to see muscle mommy Abby
Yeah,
because
I agree.
we
There's
just don't
a
get to
few-
see that in television or
There's
movies.
Yeah.
there's a few women that could have done it. I can't think of her name, but I definitely have shown a picture. She was in
We
Twister.
gave a lot of great suggestions on our long back when casting predictions that we did. So,
Mhm.
Also,
and it
I
is.
just
Oh yeah,
isn't
we
it-
got a lot.
Isn't it funny that we originally cast Caitlin Dever as Ellie, and we were pushing for that? I think we actually were wanting that to be the thing. I think that could have been great and would have made
Could have been
sense.
great.
But
It could have been great.
yeah,
Also, I just saw Rose's chat. I really like the idea that Abby has one secretly jacked arm.
that's so.
I did see a
funny.
TikTok where
Just
someone
one.
was just working out one shoulder. It
What is that? Popeye.
didn't look great for the back.
Sure.
All right. Well, I'm sure we'll return again. Maybe with some fresh eyes and like truly try to think like what can they do in this season to make sense and what would be a proper end point for season
Yeah.
3 if it gets like officially confirmed that they'll do another season after that.
Mhm.
But I think we'll if even based on this season, I think we get if they want to do another season, I think they'll get it because like I don't know if y'all have done a lot of research on like the sales of just The Last of Us, the game during the HBO show. It made money. It made a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I think and it's doing the numbers to definitely it's got the wings or it's got what I'm trying to say. This show can go on. I'm
It's
excited.
got legs.
Thank you. It's got wings and legs. It's a chicken.
Yeah.
It's gonna soar. Might float a little bit, but it'll soar.
Even though I had complaints about the season, I am excited for season 3, and I will enjoy it, I'm sure, at the end of the day. And I do hope that we get a lot of the return to the scenes that we love from the game, but and also we get some fun additions as well. But we'll be here to talk about it.
We'll be here.
That's for sure.
We'll be here.
Oh, we'll be here. All
God
right,
willing.
brother.
We'll be sitting here for the next year and a half. We're not gonna
Correct.
move until season 3 gets here. All right? Sounds good. Okay, cool.
That's great.
Well, I guess we'll see y'all on the other side. And
Oh, the shirt.
give it to Rabbit. I feel like Rabbit will wear it with pride. I'm not just give it in to Rabbit, but Rabbit did make me laugh the most tonight. I will say.
Wow.
Showed up first, answered my question first, and I did like that they brought that up. That takes courage. Or
Rabbit.
just
It
full of
does.
themselves, which I also like. And I think someone like that can wear the shirt I've designed with pride. Okay.
Just gave him a shout out. Shout out to Rabbit.
Shout out to Rabbit.
Cool. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you so
Fun
much.
time.
Tip of the hat. I'll see y'all next
Figure it
Until
out.
2
time.
years from now.
Yeah. See y'all there. Hope y'all have a cushion for your butt. It's gonna hurt. Bye.
And that's all, folks.
Bye.
Bye.